What's going on, gamers? We got a lot going on today, man. A lot of stuff for the Xbox layoffs, and we just saw what happened with Everwild. I got to do that after this. It's a lot. So we got some positive PlayStation news somehow. This is funny. Um, Now the PS5 Pro, as we know, has been through its launch. I skipped it. I didn't get it at launch. Usually, I get every console at launch. I told you guys I do that, but with this, I'm not doing it because I didn't think it was worth it, and I was right. It was a beta testing phase. So now getting to it, we see it's actually getting better. So let's bring some news to people in that realm who probably want to get ready for GTA and other things in the future, because I'll see this console definitely getting better over time by that time. So let's get into this. All right. Ponies, you still sit down. PS5 Pro is getting a big upgrade in 2026. And we just talked about the other aspect. And this is what I mean by Mark Cerny and AMD. They already have stuff working for their other console right now that's going to be getting benefits this year and next year. Then it'll lead into the other one. I asked Mark Cerny what's coming, and here's AMD's future PC GPUs and why AMD's future PC GPUs feel more PlayStation than ever. Interesting. Sony's Mark Cerny explains how AMD and Project Amethyst contributed to the PS5 Pro's impending 2026 upgrade. Okay. If you play games on a PS5 Pro, I don't. It sounds like odds are good you'll be seeing an upgrade next year. Well, you guys should have delayed it. Specifically, PS5 lead architect Mark Cerny has said the company is working on implementing an advanced graphics upscaling algorithm for PS5 Pro that should deliver better performance than its existing PSSR. If you guys don't know, it's a thing that's going around. According to a conversation I recently had with Cerny, the new tech is a drop-in replacement for the current PSSR. So now we have our answers on that. That should be straightforward for developers to accommodate when it arrives on PS5 Pro consoles in 2026. So you are going to have to wait till next year, but you'll get that before GTA. I think this is kind of the plan here, and whatever else is coming. So yeah, they'll definitely have some marketing going on for that. That's 100% for sure, y'all, because like I said, this right here, like I said, all this is going to lead into the future consoles like PS6 and stuff like that. PS6 Pro, if they want to do that, I don't know. I'm pretty sure they probably will. And knowing that this will be around too, as cross-gen is happening, and people will be using that, and knowing the way the market conditions are, yeah, you should think about prices going down, right? Now it's like you can't even think of that because that's how insane stuff is right now. It's a shame. Of course, all of the PS5 Pro is slated to get this upgrade. The base PS5 doesn't have the hardware to handle PSSR. Yeah, it doesn't have those RDNA feeds, so that makes sense. This is potentially a big deal for PS5 Pro owners. Yep, they deserve that after buying all that. I thought this was something you would have for them coming around the corner. Should have been launching that console this year and having that ready. Because upscaling algorithms like PSSR can deliver significant improvements in frame rate and image quality. Yeah, if you do it right. These upscalers have become far more popular in the last few years, thanks in part to rapid advancement of the algorithms employed to improve graphics in real time. I like it if you're fully optimizing the game like you used to without it, and then you're adding that in to make things run even better. Not using that as a shortcut and you're not fully optimizing the game and hiding that through the upscaling when people can't see that. That's where the developer gets lazy, and I don't like that. And while NVIDIA has helped lead the charge with DLSS, AMD recently realized a compelling alternative with the latest version of FSR4, as we know. And right here, it's made quite clear with Mark Cerny, this is not for proprietary technology. This is really trying to move the industry forward. So they're understanding PC technology, which is good because that'll help them do more things on PC if they port and do all that. So I'm not against that. Some folks feel FSR4 is quite good and competitive with DLSS4 at this point. I've seen the CNN models, Transformer models. I've looked through all of that. It's the closest they've ever gotten in their face. Obviously, DLSS is still better, but it doesn't. But it doesn't matter as much as it used to. What I mean by that is that now you're seeing AMD actually be able to compete with them in that sense, and that's actually a good thing. You want more competition for NVIDIA because they're just too anti-consumer otherwise. when nobody can get in their face and then compete with them. So AMD is definitely empowering themselves with Sony, a bit with Microsoft, and just, continuing to, keep going forth in that way, not only be PC only. They came a long way. So yeah, nothing wrong with that. And I recently learned that might be because Sony's own Mark Cerny has been contributing to some sense to the development of AMD's upscaling tech. So they have been teaching him so that he could help. So in that sense, okay, yeah, now that's clarified, because before it wasn't fully clarified. So now that that's clarified, and I figured since he'd be learning for that, wow, that'll happen, because Mark Cerny's been around a long time. He's not an original PlayStation guy. For people that are new into the industry, Mark Cerny started with Sega. That's how he was always that talented. He learned those dudes, yeah, they've been around a long time. That's because FSR4 comes at least in part of our work of Project Amethyst, a multi-year partnership between AMD and Sony that began in 2023. So what's interesting is that not only is Sony overshadowing Microsoft's announcements, but they're continuing to do it. You came out with something yesterday, then you're dropping something next, new today. And then you had that video way before. I had some dude come on my page like, it's because they're doing this. I'm like, dude, they've been announced this. They've been doing the Amethyst stuff. They've been doing PSSR. And so I'm saying it's not new. You know what I mean? So their partnerships continue to keep on giving us information to the current gen and the next one. This is just much more exciting. Even though, I'm not no PlayStation guy, but, I always have all the consoles, and I respect the console. I just don't like Sony. I recently had a chance to sit down with Cerny alongside AMD executive Jack and Jeff to chat about how Project Amethyst has gone so far, and what they told me is basically faster than expected. Okay. AMD and Sony say they've learned from each other to mutually benefit each other, basically. If you're not familiar with the Project Amethyst, was unveiled last year in Cerny's PS5 Pro technical seminar, yes. It's basically a fancy word for AMD and Sony teaming up to work together on building better machine learning algorithms and convolutional neural networks, CNNs. For improving game graphics, Sony brings its expertise in console hardware and game development. AMD brings decades of experience building graphics processors. Both companies can freely use the results of the collaboration in their own work. As AMD already has done so, obviously, by releasing FSR4, this is not for proprietary technology, as Sony was saying. This is really trying to move the industry forward. Obviously, we want to use these technologies on our consoles, but these technologies are available to any of the AMD customers freely. So in this sense, then Sony is contributing to that then. So that wasn't a lie then. That wasn't made up. Okay. Fair. According to Cerny and AMD's Hune, never said his last name before. I think that's what that means. I don't know, we'll find out. The two companies are collaborating even more closely than they did when designing the PS5 and the PS5 Pro. With teams across Asia, Europe, and North America meeting regularly to share findings, perhaps unsurprisingly, they claim both companies are learning something valuable from each other that has helped accelerate progress. As an example, Cerny mentioned that Sony helped AMD researchers integrate more demanding, graphically complex scenes into their research because Sony has seen first and how developers try to cram as much detail as possible into every scene. Mark makes us a better company, said Hugh. We push each other. Or Hune, however that's saying. AMD, on the other hand, pushes Sony to set up a dedicated quality assurance team specifically focused on vetting whether each new iteration of an upscaling algorithm was actually better than what came before. Big chunks of RDNA5, or whatever AMD ends up calling it, UDNA, are coming out of engineering. I am doing on the project. So Mark Cerny is on that. Interesting. I think he's learning this for Sony, though. Man, okay, this is going to get interesting. This was news to us, said Cerny. We did not have that at Sony Interactive Entertainment. It really hadn't occurred to us, and it turns out to be vital. The antidote may help explain why this collaboration has reportedly made such quick progress. Respect to Cerny for going that far. Cerny claims he expected Project Amethyst to take years to generate a significantly better upscaling algorithm, and was surprised when the team did it roughly in 9 months. Damn. The algorithm they came up with could be implemented on current generation hardware, said Cerny. So the co-developed algorithm has already been released by AMD as part of FSR4 on PC. Interesting. And we're in the process of implementing it on PS5 and we'll release it next year on PS5 Pro. That's massive. It sounds like good news for PS5 Pro owners, as AMD's FSR4 was launched in March of this year to generally positive press. My colleague recently played Call of Duty on AMD's Radeon 9070, which was built on UDNA 4 architecture, and he was impressed how well the FSR4 makes the game look and run on a mid-range card. While FSR and PSSR are two different algorithms, Sony suggests that the version coming to PS5 Pro is in no way weaker or less than AMD's FSR4. It's not a cut-down version of the algorithm. He explained, it is the full fat version of the co-developed super resolution that will be releasing on the PS5 Pro. Not bad. Of course, we'll have to wait and see what the final version of the successor to the PSSR takes when Sony hopefully rolls it out in 2026. Sony said the company is still working with developers to figure out the best way to release an update to PS5 Pro owners. So expect an update on that from Sony in the future. We got our answers on this, guys. As PlayStation moves, PC gaming moves too. That's actually funny. Maybe for AMD. I expect we'll continue to hear about advances coming out of Project Amethyst from some time to come. But while I think the impending PSSR upgrade is pretty intriguing, I'm still a little surprised to learn that the architect of the PlayStation 5 has his hands in AMD's upscaling tech. That's what I mean. That's a lot of power and trust, and like you see that, those faces, Cerny and the lead of AMD, like they keep on showing up together in front of you like, yeah, I got the head. You know what I mean? I got the power. That's what AMD's telling you. That's what Sony's telling you. Listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. Because what I really didn't think until after I chatted with Cerny, Cornell and Hugh was the fact that AMD is also building software and hardware based on learnings from Project Amethyst. So when AMD ships its next wave of graphics cards, they will have been designed with input from Mark Cerny and Sony engineers. So all of you that like AMD, yeah, Cerny and Sony are now a part of that. I know some people are not going to like that. They like AMD. Oh, yeah. Big chunks of UDNA 5 or whatever AMD ends up calling it are coming out of the engineering I am doing on the project, said Cerny. And again, this is coming out of trying to move things forward. There are no restrictions on the way any of it can be used. AMD Chief GPU Architect Mike Mantor and his team will presumably be able to use whatever they glean from Sony to design the next generation of AMD graphics hardware, which will lay the foundation for a future of PC gaming. If the rumors are to be believed, we could see the next generation of AMD graphics tech as soon as 2026. But on the Sony side, Sony doesn't expect to be talking about anything other than software for years to come. Thank God. So, yeah, what he said right here, AMD is moving extremely quick. I'm trying to prepare for the next generation of consoles, so my time frame is multi-year here. But PS5 Pro owners, you'll be getting this in 2026. So there we have it. Damn, man. Critical information. I didn't know Sony was that deep into the project to where now Sony is into it. So that came out a while ago. That wasn't a lie. Damn. Interesting stuff. So let me know what you guys think about this. All right. Like, comment, subscribe. Have a good day. Well, PlayStation 5 Pro owners, looks like you got some good news. So good for y'all. I'm happy for y'all. I'm not a hater over here. But ponies, you still sit down. All right, y'all. Peace out. Have a good day. Later.